Welcome, everyone, to the Illuminated Mind podcast with me, Matthew Brownstein, founder and lead instructor of the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy. I'm here with my guest today, Moyra Gorski. So welcome to the podcast, Moyra.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I was just on your podcast. It was quite enjoyable chatting with you. And now we want to learn more about you on this side. So you are a multi-passionate entrepreneur, which is a cool title, helping people to create change that leads to freedom and flexibility. You're a retired RN, specifically supporting women to create health by making simple changes in their lives and helping others to reclaim their superpower. We talked about self-care and journaling and entrepreneurship as topics, and yet I would love to just hear more about you first. So I want to just tell our audience, who is Moyra Gorski?
Sure. So I am, Moyra Gorski. I'm a mom of 4 children. They are young adults, and all but one have left the nest. I'm a nurse. I went to school, really fascinated by science, and thought that I might do something with that, but found the nursing field and really fell in love with rehab nursing, although then moved into medical sales for the bulk of my career till I met my husband. We married and started to have children, and again, went on to have 4 children. So for the last 22 years, I've been a brand ambassador for a wellness company. So as you stated, I just help people, live healthy lives and make simple changes. And I also mentor emerging entrepreneurs to have their own online wellness business. And when I'm not doing all of that, I am a podcast host for 2.5 years, an avid journaler. I did create a journal as kind of a starter journal for people to have, but I love to just stay active in my healthy lifestyle. Just love to, again, be out in nature, walk, run. And then the last couple of years, I've found ballroom dance. And so I have been taking ballroom dance lessons and really enjoyed that as a bit of a metaphor for life. I didn't really expect that walking into a dance studio, but learned that there's a lot to learn about ourselves when we're on the dance floor, and when you do competitions and things like that. So that's been something that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I have, and I continue on with that. Even today, I have a lesson after we're finished here today. So that's a little bit about me. We had 2 dogs. One has since passed earlier this year, but dog lovers, and love having my little guy next to me here in my office.
Nice. Thank you for sharing all that. So, dog lover, dancer, learning a lot about yourself, probably some humility involved in that process. And I'd love to start with the entrepreneurship, just because we are a career school for hypnotherapy. We help people to get out and to have their own careers. And while I sincerely believe our training in hypnotherapy is exceptional, and actually our business marketing and the practice management side is quite good, we still don't have 100% of every single graduate succeeding, because the statistics, most people fail in business. So could you talk to us about what do you do? How do you help people to succeed in business? Because, man, I would love to see more and more of our graduates. I mean, we have a lot of successful people, but I want 100% of people truly reaching their goals. So you can tell us more about that.
Sure. Well, when our kids were younger, I was introduced to entrepreneurship, direct selling, the network marketing industry, some 22, 23 years ago. I was introduced to it because one of my kids was kind of sick all the time, chronically ill. And so I was introduced to natural products that perhaps might help him. And that's how I started to use the products that now I represent. And so I didn't really start to say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I was, wanted my son to be better. I was an exhausted mom of 3 kids. And so I was looking for some ways to feel better. And things changed remarkably in our home in the way of health. And because I think because I have that kind of helping nature and a nurse, and I like to help other people, and I was learning a lot. And as you noticed, when I interviewed you, I'm just like taking notes. I love to learn. And I thought, my friend and mentor said, if you shared with people, you could make a little money by doing this. And it was a very idea that I pushed away for a bit of time because I was uncomfortable with it, and I just didn't see myself as a business person. But I did have that deep desire to help people, and so I was shown a way to do that and to monetize that, if you will. And what attracted me was the fact that I could do a little bit, and I could fit it in my life of being a mom and a suburban mom and supporting my family there, but I could fit that in. And so I've learned a lot in these 22 years. And I think one of the main things that I've learned, because I was just speaking with someone before our podcast who's considering, joining me on my team and doing this entrepreneurship thing. And I said, I think the key is that you have to do the work. That some people say, oh, it's great to have your own business, and oh, isn't it great? And you have all this freedom. And albeit that's very true, it requires work, and it requires you to get up in the morning, and you to get going, and you to motivate you, and you to make your plan. And hopefully you have a mentor. If you're looking to open your own business or start your own business, you have a mentor that can guide you, but you've got to do the work. And that's because I do speak with so many, and they're like, well, we don't give you here's your job description, and this is what you're going to do every day. I help to guide you to say, these are the things that you can find success with if you follow these vital behaviors, if you will. But you're the one that has to do it. And I think that that's sometimes, because this gal in particular, her husband was like, well, that stuff doesn't work. It's like, well, you know what? It does work. I've been doing it for 22 years, and I have a very wonderful paycheck every month. And I have clients who see me in town or text me and say, man, I'm feeling so much better. Thank you so much. It's changed the trajectory of my life. It's changed other people's. There's success there, but it doesn't work if you don't work. And I've had many people that say, oh, that doesn't work. It's like, well, guess what? You're not doing the work. So I think that's a main point that I always like to bring across. Like, it's great to be an entrepreneur, but it's not an easy path.
Believe me, I've only been an entrepreneur, and I get it. Since I was 24 years old and got into hypnotherapy as a profession, I had to do it. I had to show up. If I didn't do the work, I wasn't going to get paid. You mentioned vital principles, I think is what you said. You use the word vital. Are there some of those that come to mind that you could share with a aspiring entrepreneur? Things that if you show up, these are the best practices. This is what to do to succeed.
Yeah. Well, we do have those vital behaviors, we call them, in our industry, but there are things that are, for instance, if again, I'm in a wellness industry, I recommend products to use to shift your spending to these type of products so you can live a healthy lifestyle. And so, certainly one of the vital behaviors is to be a product of the product. And I think about you with the business that you just shared with me and what you're doing. Like, if you weren't doing the hypnotherapy and the meditation, and you've got to do that in order to teach that and to share that. We have to be the product of the product. Whatever we're selling, whatever we're doing, whatever we're promoting, we have to be a product of the product. And then I think just it's that consistency of reaching out to new people, reaching out to your clients, having that. It's a relationship business, and there's specific things that we talk about. Do this on social, do this with a phone call, do this with, but I think it is what it really is wrapped up in is that relationship business, because there may be, I know in my industry, there are many people that people can buy green cleaners from and vitamins and wonderful anti-aging skincare line, but they're buying because of me. They're buying because I've developed this relationship with them, and they know me and they like me and they trust me. And so they buy from me. So it's all wrapped up in that. It's a relationship business. If we want to be successful in our business, we have to know about how we can develop relationships and listen more than talk.
Nice. I love it. So yeah, the importance of walking the talk. If you're using a product, like selling a product, use the product. If you're a hypnotherapist, do hypnotherapy in yourself. And the ability to network and connect with others and to listen and Yeah, a lot of that has to do with personal wholeness. Like when you say, like, if you're not secure within you, then you're not going to walk the talk and you're not going to feel comfortable with others. So I know you're big on self-care. So if we get back to the importance of taking care of you, like in hypnotherapy, I teach my graduates, you are the product and you need to brand yourself. But if you don't take care of yourself, what kind of role model are you to others? So talk to us about one of your passions, self-care.
Yeah. So yeah, I noticed again, so my podcast that I have is called Juggling the Chaos of Recovery. And I started that just as a way for me to share with others my experience with my daughter who has an eating disorder and has for the last 7 years. And I'm not sharing her story, but I'm sharing my story of me taking care of myself during that time. Because I found that as my daughter was struggling, I was putting so much effort into try to help her. And albeit that that's good, I wasn't taking care of myself. And so as I learned the impact that stress has on us, on our lives, or can have on our lives, and my health, I was the health, I'm the health guru, and I wasn't doing so good in those areas with my sleep and my anxiety and my adrenal fatigue and things like that. So I really started to learn myself how, and we all know that, right? We take an airplane ride and they say, just put the oxygen mask on first before you give it to your child. And it became very apparent to me that I wasn't doing so good with that. And so I started to do more of that, if you will, for myself, getting very clear on getting better with my nutrition to take care of myself, as well as these other things that that you teach. And we talked about, just those, creating a way to take care of myself. And for me, it's, yes, it is that nutrition, but it's that quiet time in the morning when I get up. And hopefully getting up when I wake up, as Mel Robbins would say, getting out of bed and coming downstairs and finding my spot in my front room where I take that quiet time of meditation and journaling and reading and just starting my day. I mean, that's just such a wonderful form that I found of self-care for myself, creating that morning routine that when I do that, my day tends to go better. And so that's a big part of self-care for me, that I encourage other people to create their own morning routine. But it's also those other things that I choose to do during the day. If it's, self-care, I see self-care as, going out for a cup of coffee, like I did this morning with a girlfriend. We haven't seen each other in a while because our kids have grown and gone. And I used to see her when our kids, so we worked on getting together. We sat together for a couple hours and just caught up. It's a way that just nourishes my soul. And so that's a form of, self-care. And then it's just those other things of the yoga and the walks and, eating properly and things like that. But really, again, paying attention to what's important to me and making sure that I'm doing that first before I start to give to others.
Yeah, it sounds like not so much the specific things you do, yet the intention behind it, the clarity to say, I need to prioritize myself, right? I'm most important. And then I hear you saying it's really valuable. Spend the time in the morning. First thing is for you, right? Meditate, journal, read, go for a walk, go out for coffee with a friend, nurture your friendships. But without the intention to do so, I would imagine people don't go very far with that. So how do you help others to start taking care of themselves? Is it just through your podcast, through teaching, or is there a way that you help to motivate others to prioritize themselves?
Well, again, I think that I do share my life quite openly with others, if you will. And so I am a product of that product. So I share that. But I think, if it's about self-care or about nutrition or about starting, like, it's just start somewhere. And that's why I say, like, simple steps, because I find that, if I say, well, I do all this, like, well, I couldn't do all of that. Well, like, what could you do? Right. So what if you just started small? What if you just, with the meditation, what if you just sat for 5 minutes and took 20 deep breaths or something like that? I really encourage people to just start very small if they feel like they can't, because I think if I give them too many ideas, again, they're my ideas. So I'll give suggestions and say, what feels good to you? What do you feel like you
Mm,
could embrace? What do you feel like you could start with, and start there? But then I
mm,
stay in touch with them and I keep them, and I do talk about that they can stay accountable to me, but how can they stay accountable to themselves?
mhm,
Because some people do like to do, um, make a little chart and check it off. Oh, I've done this, or they like their tracker on their phone or on their
mhm,
watch or something like that. I'm not necessarily like that. I don't really like all of that. Um, but it's, again, it's important to when we start new habits, is to have that accountability piece. So it's either with yourself or perhaps again with your mentor or with your friend, or meeting that friend for a walk Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Well, we're going to meet each other when they hold each other accountable,
mm.
that type of thing. So but it's always kind of starting out small, like just bite a little bit, off, and then just repeat, and then before you know it, it's become a habit of yours that's easier.
Yeah, so chunking down essentially. Don't just tell someone, do all these things, they're all amazing. Just what's one thing you can do, and have someone who holds you accountable.
Mhm.
The idea of a mentor sounds wonderful. Do you have any thoughts about how to even find a mentor? If somebody was saying, I'm so alone in my path, it'd be amazing to have somebody who's further along who could help me out. Uh, how would I even find a mentor if I was looking?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, again, you go and hang out where the people are that perhaps you want to be like, or again, that are doing what you're looking to do. I know that when I read John Maxwell's, I've read several of his books, and he talked in one of them about when he was looking to, become more successful, or to be a better public speaker, or I mean, he reached out to successful people, and he said he would plan his visits or his vacationing around going to visit these people and getting a chance to talk, speak with them and share their words of wisdom with him. That's how he learned. He
Mm,
said, I want to be like them, if you will. So I'm going to go learn from them. So I think if you're looking for a mentor, be it that it's in yoga or in fitness or meditation or whatever, go to those or take courses, or, get to be part of a community, and then just
mm,
ask. They say that in the 12-step programs, if you need a sponsor, just ask, say, hey, I'm looking for somebody to help me. Are you able to, you know, are you able to help me, or do you know of somebody? I think we just have to go to where those people are,
mm,
um, and perhaps ask them. I've done that myself with, again, within my direct selling business. I've reached out to many of the top leaders that have been, I mean, I've been here a long time too, but, that have been here a long time, and just reach out, say, can I just ask a few questions?
mhm.
Like about leadership, about growing a team, about, you know, loyalty in this business. Can I just ask a few questions? Because I feel like when we ask those questions, we have a lot to learn from those people.
Hmm. Yeah, if we're willing to just take the step, like you said, you gotta take those first steps. Nobody's gonna make you do it. My experience, one of my highest level mentors through my life, he always encouraged me, you just always go like to the top, like talk to the CEOs, talk to the leaders. And he said they will be more open to talking to you than people who are lower on the totem pole, so to speak, because they're usually more successful, they have more time, and they want to give back. So yeah, I would
Mhm.
encourage if anybody's listening is do what Moira is saying and go and reach out to some of these leaders that you'd like to be more like. You might be really surprised at how receptive they are, right? Because they want to give. Like people who have succeeded want to give back to others. So
Mhm.
yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for sharing that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I know one of your passions is journaling as part of your whole self-care theme. So talk to us about that. Why is it so important? What have you gotten out of it? Uh, what do you recommend in
Yeah.
it? Hmm.
Yeah. I heard, through many of the yoga practices that I went to or retreats, they talked about journaling, and I was really kind of resistant to it because for one, I don't have very good, I think my penmanship has decreased.
Hmm.
It's just, I don't, my penmanship's not so good anymore. And so I kind of said, well, if I don't write very well, then like why journal, and I can't read it. And I learned that it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't feel like it's, I'm not going to be publishing my journals. And so they don't have to be these beautiful works of art, at least for me. And so I started again to do a little bit of that as people would encourage me. And what I found is when I journaled, it's just, it's like getting those thoughts out of my head. And for one, it kind of, as I would say, it kind of clears up that space. Sometimes I find that when I journal and I write things down, I'm just not, if it's something I'm worried about or bothered by, it seems like I'm not bothered by that anymore as I write it, write it down. And then I've worked with other, programs or gotten different journal prompts. And I find that that's been very fascinating too, by just these prompts that people have given, or when I've read books or things like that. Here's a journal prompt and just write for 10 minutes about that. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating for me. Like, you start writing and it's like you can figure things out. It's almost like free therapy for you. You have like you said, like, what's bothering me today? Why do I feel so, why am I feel like I could cry? Or why is there a pit in my stomach? And just starting to write those things out and just kind of write free flowing, if you will. It's fascinating what you discover. And even with the journal that I created, just as one of my friends said, it's a really nice starter journal. It's just, again, I encourage people to start small. So it's just a small journal that has some inspirational quotes, some QR code links to my podcast that they can listen to kind of think things. But I talk about in the beginning, if you're really wondering how you're supposed to start journaling, again, just open, it doesn't have to be some fancy journal, just open up a notebook or pull out a piece of paper and perhaps start writing, these are the things that I'm grateful for today. And these are the things that that I'd like to pray, that I'm praying about. This is what I really need help with. This is what I'm asking for, and just, even if you just start like that, it can really become a powerful practice of, for one, realizing again how I tend to be sometimes, again, I look at the negative, or I'm worried, or things are bothering me. But when we really start our day with gratitude and writing things down that we're grateful for, you realize, yeah, we've got it. I have a beautiful, wonderful life here, and being grateful is a great way to start. And then again, just that writing, again, it's helped for me. It's been very beneficial to kind of figure things out, a way of processing, a way of, again, almost like my own therapy, by just opening up a book and starting to write. And I just, again, encourage people to not believe that it has to be perfect, but it's just really that matter of starting.
I like that you acknowledged, I didn't want to write because I don't have good handwriting. It's like, oh, come on, just, get over that. You can write about how you don't like your handwriting, but at least get it out, because you hear you saying it's very therapeutic, almost like talking to a therapist, because you just got it out. It wasn't just in your head. We can maybe say, see a therapist once a week, pay a few $100s, or just sit down every day and write for 10 minutes. And I hear you talking about, write about gratitude, just have a topic. So basic themes that you could write about.
Right. Yeah. If you need, again, some people like to have that type of structure because they're like, where do I start? Again, we want things to be perfect. Like, okay, so what if you just started by saying, this is what I'm grateful for. This is my intention for the day. This is what these are my goals for the day. This is, again, just have some free flowing ideas and write it down. I mean, I talked about ballroom dancing. One of the competitions I've done a couple of competitions, when you dress up in the sparkly dresses and all the beautiful makeup. And one of the ones that I participated, I remember I was staying at a hotel before the competition the next day, and I was having trouble sleeping. And just, again, all these thoughts and being a bit nervous about the next day and running through those routines in my head. And I thought to myself, okay, you talk about journaling and how it just really gets those thoughts out and it creates a space for much more bliss. So sure enough, 2:00 in the morning, turned on the light, just wrote for 10 minutes, and it was amazing. I went back to bed turned off the light. I thought about my mother, and I went to sleep. And it was just, I'm like, yeah, see, it does work. It's just this kind of dumping of your thoughts onto paper just can, again, kind of clear a bit in your head. You know about that more than I do, but it's, that's what I chuckled at myself. I'm like, come on, you talk about this all the time. This is the time to do it. And sure enough, I did it. And I went back and had a lovely, few hours of sleep before the next, before the competition.
Right. It just goes back to the same thing of do the things that work, right? Like what is it? There's knowledge and there's wisdom, and there's knowing something, but then there's being wise enough to actually act on that something. And you have I think you said something about, we were talking about what talked before. You said things to put in your tool belt, right? So even if you have all these things in your tool belt, if you're not using them, then you got knowledge, but you don't have wisdom.
Right. Right. Yeah, I found that so much with interviewing people for my podcast. So many of them, that's what they found, that has been helpful for them in their life, that's kept them sober or recovered from their eating disorder, or again, just overcoming different challenges. I think we all need to find those things that work for us and just keep doing them and remind ourselves each day when we're having the challenges and the stresses of life, like, okay, like what you said in my podcast, you're veering off the road a little bit. What can we use to pull ourselves back to center so that we can stay aligned and be going on a nice smooth path? Just finding those things to help bring us back to center.
I love it. I think when you and I first spoke on the phone, I don't know if it was you, but I heard myself recently saying to somebody, they were talking about self-care. I'm like, oh, I'm like a master of self-care. I didn't even mean to call myself a master. I don't tend to do that. But I was like, man, I am really in self-care. Like pampering yourself, loving yourself, waking up in the morning and dedicating the morning to you, if humanly possible, like prioritize you. And utilize every tool in your bag of tricks, because, why not? So I appreciate that you didn't plug your specific business, but I'd be very open to hearing more about the product line that you work with, or if you want to share that with our audience.
Sure. So I've been partnered with a company called the Shackley Corporation. They have again, longtime industry leader in the health and wellness business of health and wellness products. Again, I'm a science person, so I love that they are the most clinically proven wellness company in the world. And so what we do provide is over 300 products to help you live a healthy lifestyle. So kind of categorized into about five categories, very simply put, is healthy nutrition. So that supplementation, the vitamins, minerals, and protein that your body needs to make healthy cells for us to live healthy. And then it's a healthy weight program, which is based on meal replacements, and again, making some smarter substitutions into what you consume every day. Wonderful healthy home section where healthy home cleaners, non-toxic cleaners to help have a healthy home, and healthy sports. So we can, when we're athletes or weekend athletes and things like that, things to help to support us in sports and athletes, as well as then a clean skincare line of healthy beauty. So again, lots of products, but what we do is, and what I do is just help people make those small changes, make those shifts, shift your spending, shift your things that you're using to things that are much more natural, non-toxic and things like that, so that you can live a healthier life, more from a preventative side of things, as opposed to the diagnosing and treating, which I was much more familiar with in the medical field. So again, we're all about helping people live healthier lives by just paying attention. What I've learned is that we should be paying attention to what we put in ourselves, on ourselves, and around ourselves. It's very important in order for us, and if we give our body what it needs in regards to nutrition and healthy products, as well as like what we've talked about, the mind work and things like that, then we can live vibrant, healthy lives, and we can age gracefully and feel okay, in the process. And that's what I do. And then again, I do the same thing by mentoring those that are interested in having their own online wellness business. I mean, we're right in the midst of, Shackley is right in the midst of the major trends these days of wellness, a side gig, economy, as well as the whole online, click and order has become more commonplace than the brick and mortar. So it's really a great opportunity for those that are looking for a business opportunity, because we can work from anywhere. Most people you talk to today are interested in staying well and taking more control of their health. They like having additional, the most successful people have a few streams of income. So it's a way that people can have their own business and really work it to the extent that's most important to them.
Nice. Yeah, thank you for sharing that and everything, because the self-care, all the different tools, journaling, entrepreneurship, I imagine you're quite inspiring for a lot of people. I wonder if there's a case history, whether it's somebody you mentored, whether it's somebody who's working in Shackley with you, or someone you taught some self-care. Is there somebody who comes to mind that's been really blessed by getting to know who you are?
Well, I think that there are many. The one gal that came to mind is somebody that, again, was a friend of mine first, and we did a lot of running together, and I ran with her husband and things like that. And so she became a friend, and then a client of mine that they both did, of using the nutrition products to help them stay healthy. And we happened to have a gathering a couple of years ago. I think it was during this pandemic time, where we couldn't really gather as a company, if you will. And so we had some local meetings, and something that really struck me, her husband, as they went to leave, this couple was there for the evening, and her husband, as they went to leave, he looked at me and he said, thank you for helping Elizabeth. And thank you for helping our family, because he said, you really have changed the trajectory of my life and our lives. It's just really, it's a wonderful thing that he said, but really it shows the power of what, I do have the ability to do. And that was and she would say, oh, I just do a little. I go, it doesn't matter if you do a little or a lot. That's the power of, that entrepreneurship, or taking care of your health. And it's hard to just, that's one thing again that popped in. There are many that I just say it very humbly, there are many that tell me each day that, a gal that I had lunch with yesterday, she said, your relationship means a lot to me. And the fact that you do have this time to spend with me, and that, we can be friends together. She said, I appreciate the friendship. And I think that I say that just very humbly, but I think that that's what we all can. I'm very blessed to be able to have the life that I have, that I can have that time to spend with others and to cultivate those relationships. And sometimes that's the self-care piece that I continue on with, because sometimes I'm like, I'm not a big deal, but I don't sometimes look at that impact that I have on others, and really how I've been able to impact others. But my friends continue to remind me. And I had a gentleman reach out to me. He's a gentleman that I interviewed for my podcast. I met him in my networking circles, and he has a tremendous story of recovery and overcoming really tormented childhood. And he's one of the most positive people I have met, and I just really have enjoyed getting to know him. And he called me one day, and he was in tears, and he kind of brought me to tears too. And he said, I shared one of your podcasts with somebody that I've been working with to try to help him. And he just said, I just want to tell you how much of an impact that podcast had on this friend of mine that I've been trying to help. And he said, I just calling to thank you for the work that you do. If what I can do can help one person, it makes it all, makes it all worth it. And so sometimes I'm like, I don't really but those that really made a big difference. I'm like, wow, that's why I continue on with the podcast, because if I can help one person by sharing a story or bringing you as a guest on my podcast, if I can help one or two people, it, my life it's been a good life then.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And that's why I asked is I hear that your humility and you're humble about how you talk about helping others, but really it's like, that's what it's all about. Like, your own success is like, okay, I'm at the top of the mountain, got everything I want. Great. Like, now what? And if you're not giving it away, if you're not helping others, you don't feel that real reward. So I could see how so many people could benefit from your story, techniques, products. But yeah, seeing you as a role model to get to a place where you can have a really fulfilling life. And then once you're there, or even while you're getting there, but it's just always about helping others and giving away whatever you can. So if people want to get in touch with you, learn more about you or your products or your podcast, how do they find out about you?
Well, I've made that pretty simple. You can go to my website, which is moyragorski.com. Just spell it with a Y, Moyra with a Y, Gorski.com. So I have everything listed there. So you can find my journal, my podcast, a link to work with me if you're interested in a wellness business or the nutrition. You can certainly find me on social media, the LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram as well. And yeah, again, that's what I love to do. I love to connect with others to see how we can support each other in life. And I'm humbled to the point to say, you know what, I'm not at the top of the mountain yet, but you know what, I'm a little bit farther along than some. And I just put my hand back to say, hey, you know what, come on, I'll help you if you want to, listen to my wisdom or whatever I have to say. I'm not the expert and things like that, but I feel like we all become experts by experience in many different ways. And so that's what I just try to share with others, what I've experienced in life, in the off chance that it might help someone else.
Yeah. And if you want something, give it away. So even if you're
right,
whatever the top of the mountain is, I just use that metaphor. I don't know if anybody's there, but wherever you're at, no matter how successful you are, keep giving away, just keep finding ways to give back. So thank you. If there were closing words of wisdom, one message you could give out to the world, what would that be?
Besides the fact that we have to take care of ourselves, I just love to just say, just lead with love. Learn more about love and how we can love other people. Start by loving yourself. I believe that everybody just wants to be seen, heard, and appreciated for them. And as we share love with others, then the love comes back to us.
Beautiful. No better way to close than the only real most important topic is love. And I hear you saying self-love, because if you don't love this person, then you're really not loving other people the way you could. So thank you so much, Moyra. It was a pleasure to be in your podcast, to have you on mine, to hear all about your self-care, journaling, entrepreneurship, your business, and the way you're helping others. So thank you so much. And I hope we'll continue to connect in positive, collaborative ways in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.